All right, we are back, everybody, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS, with the Gazette Radio Hour with author and Gazette contributor and our national correspondent, Mr. Robert Patrick Lewis.
You forgot friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
I don't want to aggravate this guy. But we do want to talk to you about something because I have a slight a conflict. I have an internal conflict about the whole torture issue, okay? I respect John McCain and his service to the country, and I sit there and I look at it, and this dude has been through it and raised some good points. I also think that as Americans, you want to believe that we're better than everyone else in our treatment, especially with regard to human rights. Okay, and then you get then it's like the other part of me is the part closer to Doug's heart that it's like they should be strung up by, what did you say, their genitals? I think is what you said, Doug.
Yes.
Robert, help me out.
To save American lives.
Help me out. I mean, did we get useful information from the enhanced interrogation techniques or not?
Well, that's an unfortunate thing that nobody will ever know unless they were there, and even the people that were there might not even really know, or at least be able to really tell us. And so it's an issue, and there's a big disparity between what torture actually is and what you see on, like, 24,
right,
or Homeland, or a TV show like that. Hollywood, much like combat, tends to misconstrue what actually goes on. And it's a lot different. And, the thing that most people don't realize, there's actually a couple different levels of torture. So, or interrogations at least, and then where torture is really involved. So if you're talking about skilled people, the tradition has been, when an enemy is brought in, there's usually a battlefield interrogation. And this would be the one that involves, like, physical violence and threats and guns pointed at your head and things like that. It's a field interrogation. It's by unskilled people who aren't actually interrogators.
Right.
Then you go to a next level of interrogation, which is usually somewhere on or near the battlefield, and that's where it becomes a little bit more academic. And then the third level has been traditionally used since, the World Wars, was actually taking the person out of theater. So sending wherever the enemy captured was back to some third-party location that is not in the battlefield and having a professional interrogator interrogate this person sometimes over days, weeks, months, years.
Right.
And so it's a traditional tactic that's been used for a very long time. And when you get, the more professional you get, so as you get to the second and third stage of interrogation, the less violent they tend to become, at least in the past. And so this is a big change that we're seeing,
right,
where now they become more violent.
But Robert, what if something is imminent and you know that there's a terrorist attack that's about to happen?
How do you know?
Well, I would think they would know through their intelligence.
That's just it. You don't know. That's the problem.
But even if they had good intelligence telling that it was happening, don't you think you got to go a little bit to the extreme to try to save lives? That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and that's where you start looking at this overarching matrix of different forms of intelligence. So you have electronic intelligence, you have human intelligence, so you hear of, like, human and things like that. That's right. Human intelligence, right? So electronic intelligence, this would be us intercepting a phone call or an email or seeing something posted on an Islamic terrorism website known to be a forum for terrorists to kind of meet each other and talk and do all these other things. So a lot of times they'll find chatter because obviously these guys know if I need to talk to somebody in another country, I need to do it via phone line. Typically the people planning and actually paying for these, they're cowards, and they're in another country from where this is actually being done.
Exactly.
So they have to communicate. And so we might pick up a phone call, but they know that there's a high chance their phone call is going to get picked up, so they use code, they try to hide their intentions. And so we'll get this electronic communication, we'll get increased chatter, we'll know something weird's about to happen, but because they're using coding, we don't know what's going to happen. And so that's when you tighten up the clamps on the humans. So if you have somebody in custody, that's where you go, we know something's happening.
Yeah.
We've intercepted one phone call a week over the past year, and now all of a sudden, every person in this network is calling each other every day. We know something's about to happen. We just don't know what or where or when. And hey, let's pull out your fingernails and figure that out.
So was it kind of a situation where we were so upset about 9/11 for good cause, and we were so kind of behind the eight ball that we really kind of blurred the lines trying to play catch up?
Well, and here's what people forget, because Americans are fickle. We forget that after 9/11, the American public was screaming for blood.
Right.
They were. They said, so within weeks of 9/11, we had ODAs. We had teams from 5th Special Forces Group on the ground in Afghanistan, and their scope was essentially just go get them. Right?
Yeah.
There were no rules of engagement. There were no, we'll make sure that if they're this, don't shoot at them and this. It was go get these guys. And we said the same thing for the CIA. We said the same thing for the DIA and the NSA and everybody else. We said, no matter what, go get the bad guys.
Right.
So they did. They did. They did what they had to do. They did what they were trained to do to go get the bad guys. And now, a decade later, people are starting to go, okay, well, I know that we scream no matter what, go get these bad guys, but now we're going to start looking at what you did 10 years ago a lot more closely. And even though we said just go get them at all costs, we didn't mean that, and so now we're going to put you in jail.
Now it makes
anything that we don't like.
Well, I think it's more along the lines of now it just kind of makes us feel uncomfortable about it all.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, unfortunately, we're out of time. We really appreciate you coming on. We look forward to having you next week.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Robert
All right,
Patrick Lewis, our national correspondent.
And well-known author.
Of
Always
course.
forget that. And don't forget Green Breaks, because he'll come by and hurt you.
I hope not.
All right, you're listening to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS. An abbreviated sports section next.
All right, here we go. Last segment of the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. News director Kyle Jelling has joined us for a
station
sports
manager.
Station manager.
Sorry.
I don't want anything to do with that news department.
Kyle, Dodgers, go.
Dodgers, they made a bunch of trades. 10.
All right, next, moving on. All right, let's
They're making some noise, man. This is not your dad's. This is not your father's Dodger
let's
baseball,
pick up
man.
a 36-year-old Jimmy Rollins. Really?
I'm okay with it because for a year, because they got Corey Seager, this kid in the minors, and apparently he's the next big thing for Dodger baseball. So
pitching.
they got the relief the pitcher Chris Hatcher is his name from the Marlins, so he's supposed to be a big name there, and he's supposed to be some of that middle relief for us.
Look at what the successful teams last year. The Orioles, the Royals.
Yeah, the Royals tore it up
Even
last year, and they have a
Giants, they all
monumentally
have
good
middle
bullpen.
relief
Yeah.
bullpen. Buck
And
Showalter,
so-
manager of the year.
Yes.
Kyle, the biggest controversy is Matt Kemp trade. That's the biggest controversy.
It's bittersweet for me because I remember watching him after 2011, and he was huge, man. After 2011, he should have won the MVP that year, and they're like, oh man, he's Mr. LA and stuff. They had a ton of stuff on
So you're
him.
saying he was huge and now he's not huge. So you're breaking news today. Performance enhancing drugs. Matt Kemp was a performance.
He was
According to
going.
Kyle
No,
Jelling,
he signs the 8-year, $160 million deal or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is it. This is our Derek Jeter. This is going to be the Dodgers' Derek Jeter. He's going to be here for 10 years. He's going to re-sign. He's just going to be a Dodger forever. He gets injured. He gets all this stuff happens. In terms of what the Dodgers needed to do they had too many outfielders. And Matt Kemp was the outlier. He's not right field. Puig is our right fielder because he's got the best arm and that's his position. Center field, he's really a defensive liability.
Yes.
When it comes to playing center field, and he was open about the fact that he hated playing left field.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that trade per se. I think they got rid of a lot of speed. And you watch the World Series this year. It was speed.
D. Gordon, that one hurt a little bit because I like D. Gordon. I liked him a lot, and he had an All-Star year. But he had a terrible second half of the season.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're sabermetrics guys. Friedman and everybody's
My biggest concern.
percentage.
My biggest concern is if Puig has the same second half that he did this year.
And that's
He was horrible.
I think this is his make or break year in terms of.
All right, we got to.
All right, enough Dodgers. Let's talk football.
NFL.
Hey, let's go to the standings.
Let's go to the
standings, Doug.
Man, John Rogers has come out of the basement to almost catch me. I'm only 2 games ahead of him right now.
Two games.
The standings are Mr. Football, who can't be with us this week, is 38-28. Kyle Jellings is 39-27.
It's not bad.
Mr. Rogers is 41-25. A huge comeback.
41-25.
Now that you switched to Baltimore, come on.
And I'm hanging on by
No
a thread
loyalty.
at 43-23.
I've stuck with my team.
Just know I picked the Raiders last week.
All right, here we go. Running out of time, gentlemen. Here's our picks. Baltimore, Jacksonville. Mr. Football made his picks via text, and he's picking Baltimore. John.
Baltimore.
Kyle.
I'm going Baltimore. I can't
how
pick Jacksonville.
yeah.
I can't.
This is
You can't
Baltimore.
pick- yeah, it's Baltimore.
All right, here's an interesting game. Cincinnati versus
Johnny
Cleveland
Manziel's.
with Johnny Manziel.
The
Mr.
Cleveland Johnny
Football,
Manziel's.
what is it?
Jonathan.
Oh, excuse
Jonathan
John.
Football.
Mr.
John-
Football.
Jonathan Football.
Mr. Football picked Cleveland. John?
Doug, I think you're in first place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going Cincinnati. John.
Where's the game?
Cleveland.
I'm going Cincinnati as well.
Okay, here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of eyes watching this game.
Yeah.
And Andrew Dalton does not do well when a lot of eyes are watching.
You saw me hesitate.
I'm going Cleveland Browns.
That is why I hesitated, because I'm not a massive Andy Dalton fan.
That's true.
He does,
He's terrible in primetime.
All right, here's a good game. Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, Denver at San Diego. Very interesting. Mr. Football went with Denver.
Doug?
I'm going Denver. John?
Unfortunately, I'm going Denver, too.
Kyle?
Man, am I going to be bold here? I got to make up some ground here. I'm going San Diego.
I hope you're right.
Me too.
Okay.
I really hope you're right,
too.
but I don't think you're right.
Okay, gentlemen, here we go. A reprise of Thanksgiving Day game where Philadelphia blasted Dallas in Dallas. Now it's Dallas at Philadelphia. Mr. Football picked Philadelphia. I'm going with...
You're going with Dallas. Admit it. Tony Romo is your hero.
No, who said? I never said that. I'm going Philly. Philly's coming back.
Right. I was going
Philly had a terrible week.
John?
You have to go next.
I'm going for Philadelphia. But
I'm going. Philadelphia had a terrible week the week before, and I'm going Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All right, that's all of us.
Dallas.
All right, and then a Monday night stinker. We have New Orleans at Chicago, and Mr. Football picked New Orleans. I'm going Chicago.
Gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
New Orleans at Chicago?
Right, Monday night.
I'm going New Orleans.
Okay.
I'm going New Orleans.
And New Orleans at Chicago? It doesn't matter. I'm going New Orleans. Both these teams are terrible.
But hopefully we'll all pick up the game on Doug. That's the only New Orleans.
You know, it'd be nice if they could be flexible, like Sunday Night Football, where a couple of weeks they can change the game and schedule.
You know what
they can't do it on Monday.
We're going to have people in. We're going to have the entire last segment of the show dedicated to the football playoff. We're talking college football playoff because it's.
I can talk about that. I have things to say.
I got things to say too. It was a made-for-TV event.
Oh yeah, it was a
made-for-TV event. Why do you think Florida State is in? Yeah. All right. Don't get me started. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, board ops, who are annoying as all get out. You listen to the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS Santa Clarita's hometown station. We'll be back next week.
See ya. KHTS Canyon Country Santa Clarita.